With the arrival of Illagers, my dreams of fighting in Minecraft battles came true. I brought that bad omen with me to every village I found. The only thing I could want more was to actually be one of the Illagers. Just grab a crossbow, hire some Illager buddies, and travel the land searching for loot. Since I sort of know Unity, I decided to make my own version of Minecraft that has you playing as a raiding Illager. Because I procrastinate things I don't know how to do, I avoided terrain building and got to work making a crossbow. As usual, things got off to a rocky start. Once I got my player to calm down, I set up first-person aiming and a few targets to shoot. Unity has a great built-in physics system that made this pretty easy. My game was looking promising. All I had to do next was add the Minecraft part. This is where things got a bit tricky. I've created procedurally generated worlds before in 2D, but never 3D. I started with what I knew, and that was using a technique called Cellular Automata. This just basically creates a bunch of random dots on a grid. Then, it smooths over the randomness a few times to group things into shapes that resemble terrain. In 2D, this works great. When I used this technique to spawn a bunch of green cubes in 3D, it looked fine from the top. But upon closer inspection, my terrain was just one cube level tall. In an attempt to grow the world upwards, I tweaked a few things. This did add height, but now it just felt like running through a tall garbage dump. The randomness of how Cellular Automata placed my cubes made it very difficult to control gradual elevation changes. It was at this time I also learned that spawning around 1,000 cubes dropped my frame rate considerably. The game was still playable, but this was just a tiny sample of the cubes I'd need. Minecraft worlds have many thousands, if not millions of cubes. To make a game like this playable, I had to learn about something called voxels. Google defines a voxel like this. If that makes sense to you, you're smarter than me. I even read this after finishing my game and still got lost after the word constitute. The way I understand it, a voxel is just a group of dots in 3D space. When the dots are told how to connect to each other, the space between them is filled in. So, 4 dots spaced evenly make a flat square. Add more dots, tell them how to connect, and you can make a cube. You might think this is just an overly complex way to create the same cube we already had, but now that we can control all 6 sides of our cube, we can turn each face on and off as needed. Only sides visible to the player will be turned on, making thousands of cubes really just one big flat mesh. From a performance perspective, this makes rendering our world much faster. After I finally understood how voxels make a game like Minecraft work, I still didn't fully understand how to use them to create elevation. This is when I rediscovered something called Perlin Noise. I've used it before to create randomized effects in Unity's particle system, but that's about it. Unlike Cellular Automata, Perlin Noise creates gradual patterns of noise. When these patterns are applied to a 3D space, it can generate sloping valleys, mountains, and caves. After a few tutorials, I got a very basic, very green world to generate. Now, although Illagers don't dig or build, we can only assume they did something like it to create their little forts. Plus, what's a knockoff Minecraft game without including the game's core mechanic? It won't be a big part of the battle-focused gameplay I want to make, but now we can dig and build. The next thing I did was take this blindingly bright blob of green and add some pixel art textures. I hopped into Sprite and did the best I could. Admittedly, this doesn't look great, but believe it or not, it actually turned out better than I expected. We can only go up from here, right? After adding textures to my voxels, it was time to build out some villager houses. Yep, there they are. This is about on par with the houses I build in the real Minecraft. To further break up my skyline, I also added trees. Now to add some villagers. Most people use a 3D tool like Blender to model things for games, but all my stuff is handcrafted using Unity's default shapes. Usually that means it sucks, but this kind of works for a game like Minecraft. Shortly after I got to work modeling a villager, it occurred to me just how awful Illagers actually are. They raid helpless villager homes for no clear reason. It felt kind of sad running around slaying villagers with my crossbow, so I changed them up a bit. Instead of passive little villagers, I made them aggressive zombie villagers, aka Zillagers. Now that they want to kill me, I feel a little bit better about filling them with arrows. Next, I did what I usually do when things die in my games, added loot drops. To keep it simple, I just stole this coin model from my other game and made it drop. I wasn't really sure what the end goal would be, then it occurred to me that most people don't really play Minecraft to beat it. You can kill the nether dragon, but it's really just fun to dig, build, and breed cows. To give our coins some value, I made an illager ally spawn when the player flicks a coin to the ground. Now the basic gameplay loop looked something like this. First you'd kill a zombie villager, then you'd get their coin, and then finally you'd use that coin to hire a new illager ally. This process would repeat constantly, with no limits. Maybe you can see where this is going. With absolutely no limits at all, we're setting ourselves up for a massive army of illagers. Next, I told our illager allies to loosely follow the player, but prioritize any nearby illager targets. This caused gameplay to start slow, but become increasingly chaotic as more things spawned in. Our player was now part of an ever-growing battlefield. The whole game just felt like one huge raid, just like I always dreamed of. All that was left was to add some audio. The one sound I associate most with illagers is their little horn toot. It sets the stage for an incoming raid, so that's where I started. Of course, I could probably download a high-quality Minecraft sound pack, but I'd rather go with this empty paper towel tube I found in the trash. My raw toot sounded okay, but what it really needed was some juicy reverb, so I threw it into FL Studio and cranked up that wetness. Also, I made a few sound effects for the crossbow, zombie villagers, and illagers to make the game feel a bit more alive. Finally, I made some marching music. It's a bit creepy, but you're an illager. They live for the hunt. This isn't perfect, but helps set the mood I was going for. And with that, our Minecraft illager game is complete. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a gentle tap and the like button below. I try to release a new game every other week, so subscribe if you're interested in seeing more. Also, you can find a link below to download this game free on itch.io. Alright, until next time, you take care of yourself. Bye.